Okay, guys, I'm gonna do an early update today on the rest of how EURUSD played out. It played out well for what I was looking for, level to level. It didn't go up as much as I would like, but it went up enough for what I trade. So let's break it down. I sent out the earlier video around 7:45. At the time, I was looking for maybe a failed breakdown of this area right here as my first option, ideally, and if not, then maybe a failed breakdown of this low and just a dip and recovery of this area. And that is exactly what we ended up getting. So first I'm going to break down why this was not an entry. So this low was at 1039. So let's put a trigger about 2.5 points above that right here. And as I'm talking to you guys, we are losing this level and possibly setting up for something more, but that's fine for now. Okay, so we didn't lose this low until about 12:15. We lost it, we dipped below, and then we pushed through. We pushed through a little bit and came back down. So you don't enter right away unless you get a high volatility, high momentum candle. What does a momentum candle look like? Well, something like this one. Look at that 12 points. That's going down, but it's a momentum candle. Look at this one. This was from top to bottom, a 17-point candle. That's actually where my profit came from for this trade I took, but I'll get to that later. So going back to this, I'm going to go to a 5 minute for some educational purposes, hoping you can see what I'm looking for and what I'm not. When if I don't see it, I'm not entering. So again, we lost the low around 12 o'clock, 12:20 right here. We went through the trigger once at around 12:30, even possibly you could say 12:25, but okay. We went through the trigger again at 12:35, again at 12:40, and again at 12:55. None of these candles were really momentum candles. You can see that on this 5 minute chart they pushed through, but they didn't stay. We didn't, get above there and stay. There was no 7-8 point push and a pullback. There was nothing like that. So it was really not, sticking around the way we would want. If I saw a candle that came and went up with some force, then I'm looking to enter, but I didn't see that. So realistically, nothing there. Like if this one came up from here and went up like this, a little higher, and came back down and then started pushing back up, that would have been ideal. However, we kind of just pushed through and came back down. We never really stayed above the trigger, so there was no entry there. Going back to a 15-minute chart, same thing you can see. We went through the trigger twice, but we never really held it, and then we eventually sold. Now coming down here, you could have played it as a dip and recovery as well as a failed breakdown of this low right here. As you can see from that low, we even really this low right here, honestly, but both of them in combination, we went up to the current high of the day, as well as I guess technically the month, now speaking, sort of. So we went from this low to here, and we never lost it until we lost it right here at 145. So going to a 5 minute chart, just want to show you physically what I saw. I saw this in live time, of course. So we went through that price around 145. We pushed through with a 5 point candle, which is decent. We pushed up a little bit more actually. So from like this low to this low is about 7 points, which is a decent momentum. Then we trailed back, came back, and we started pushing back up. That's my cue. So from like this low right here was about 1019 up to here 1029, so about 10 points. I saw that I saw we were pushing up, so I was like, okay, we triggered once, came back down, now we triggered again. This one failed. We had sold for a while, so I was confident that one of these were gonna work, and I entered and it came back down a little bit. I entered a little bit above the green line, came back down a little bit, and then at 12:15 we took off, and that was a trade. So again, we lost that low. We pushed through the trigger once with decent momentum. Here you see we pushed, but never really stayed above. Here you can see we pushed and we came back and started pushing above the trigger properly. Like if one of these candles had gone up above and then came back down, that would have gave me more confidence. But we never really went over that trigger properly up there. So let me delete this here. Here we went through with at least some force, came back, and then started pushing back up. So that's my cue. I went long about maybe like point and a half above my ideal trigger, which is fine. You're never gonna get a perfect entry, or some usually you won't. And long story short, that trade worked out great. Now time to look into more levels, see what's going on. Potentially this could be a failed breakdown setup here. This low right here is 1018, so I probably would want, honestly, where you see this level to be the trigger, and it would need to hold. But let's see, I'm gonna get some levels set up and see what I'm looking for today evening as well as tomorrow.